Hey guys, and welcome back to the Nicola Collective podcast with your hosts Emilio
and Olivia Nicola.
And we're going to talk about how to start a business as a Christian.
Yeah. Something a lot of people have been asking about lately and wondering in general, I guess, not even just as a Christian, just in general, because I think
it's difficult to start.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are searching for something to make them more money, searching for more freedom. They're tired of their jobs, and kind of just want to start fresh, just do something on their own. And I don't blame them. I mean, that's what we did. So yeah.
It's a difficult thing to navigate, especially just as Christians in general.
Yeah.
Because one, like we talked about many times, it's like people look at you like, well, you're not supposed to profit because you're a Christian, so you don't need to do that. You don't need to make this. You don't need to make that. And they forget about the whole thing about setting people up for the next generation. And they forget about all these different things about how you could be a blessing through it all. So we just want to clear things up, and we want to show people how to just get things started, especially how to just even pray over your business, because people don't know how to do that. They don't know where to start, and that's where it's pretty much the most important.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people say they want to start a business, but actually end up not starting a business or because of fear or being scared of just not knowing what's going to happen or where to even start, I guess. So
what was that one statistic that you brought up that one time? It was like the 90% of 97% of the world works for the 3%.
Of people work for, the top 3%. So there's literally only 3% of the population that are entrepreneurs. The rest of the world pretty much just works for.
And the hard thing is it's about risk taking too. And it's not just risk taking, especially when you have a business that's blessed by God. So in reality, you're just faith walking. If you're a Christian, you're faith walking.
Well, and nobody really wants to risk everything to start a business. They kind of just want it handed to them. It's really easy to stay in your job because you can count on that money coming in every week or so, but when you're running your own business, it's like you're responsible for that. So we're just going to kind of go over some of the I guess you could say what you should follow when starting a business, the basics of starting a business for people who don't really know where to start. So it's really going to be something where it's like a beginner friendly type podcast for that. So we're basically going to be answering some questions that we came across because it was the most frequent ones that you could really see. And that's because it's just important because so many people are looking. But the other part too is that, something that I wanted to mention was the fact that hard decisions can make a better life. Easy decisions can make, I wouldn't say worse life over time, but it wouldn't be as comfortable as you would be if you had put the hard work in. Okay, so what would you say are some key indicators that someone is ready to start a business?
Some key indicators that someone is ready to start a business. I would say that has to be, one, the person's ready to strategize. They educated themselves. They planned ahead. The other is that they got a call from God. Overall, they were anointed. They were appointed. And that's what qualifies someone to start a job, I would say, or to start a business.
Yeah.
Is the fact that they're equipping themselves or they're being equipped. It's not about being qualified in the beginning. It's about being called and walking in it. And you get qualified as you go. So, God can bless you with a talent or a gift, right? Let's say musicians, that's an easiest example, is that someone could be, a little musical prodigy. But if you don't practice, if you don't hone the skills, you're only going to be in the same place the whole entire time. But if you continue to practice, if you continue to develop the skills, you're going to grow. You're going to be more qualified. You're going to be sought after, right?
Yeah. So what would you say, if people don't know what type of business to start, what is the best way? I always say for when people are beginning, to choose a boring business because you should be doing something that nobody else really wants to do or nobody else knows how to do, because those types of those types of things are really sought after, services that are sought after because they're like in demand. Nobody wants to do them, so they're willing to pay somebody else to do them, or nobody wants to spend the time to learn how to do them, so they're willing to pay someone else to do them. Like, you know, for instance, you know, marketing. We do marketing for other businesses and stuff, so that's something where it's like not a lot of people really know how to do effective marketing, and they're willing to pay other people to do that because they're busy running their own business. They're busy doing the other stuff for their business, being like a CEO, whatever.
Well, and how you get there is obviously developing the skill, and people will see your qualifications.
So yeah, so it's really like in the beginning, you kind of want to hone in on something that, you know, obviously you might not really enjoy it. And nobody really enjoys, like, you're not gonna be able to choose something that's like, typically this is how it goes. You don't really choose something that's like your hobby. You choose something that is like gonna be something that nobody wants to do. So you might not be too excited about it in the beginning, but if you want to make money, this is what you kind of got to do. If you want to, you know, just get your foot in the door, you just got to look for those things that nobody else, you know, that somebody would pay for. So it's like
you would become a strong competitor early on because no one else is doing it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And so it's like the smaller the amount of competition, the easier it might be for you to grow, for people to find you, because there's less people out there. So that you know, that increases your percentage of people finding you.
Yeah. So
the other part too, I would say there's two perspectives, because yes, you should go, like, if you're looking for one and you don't know what it is, like, and you don't feel like calling, or you feel called to start a business but you don't know what it is, obviously pray about it. God will show you. But there's moments where you can make that action and God will, you know, what was that verse where it's like God will make the plans, but
you make the plans, but God will establish your steps. Yeah. So it's like you can decide, you know, hey, I want to go wash someone's windows, you know, which that's kind of like a big hype right now. So
I did that,
you know. So and 2 years ago, Amelia used to knock doors and wash people's windows. So, you know, there you go. It's like you can start pretty much anywhere with anything, and it doesn't have to be expensive to start. Really.
And before you knock things, understand that whatever you start can develop things. Yeah, don't knock it till you try it. Okay. Yeah. Like not knock on doors, but like before you knock it, you know, you should really think about what you can learn from it. So maybe that's not the business that you're going to do for the rest of your life,
definitely.
But there's something that you can learn from it. So personal experience, part-time job. You know, I didn't know that I was going to be able to develop skills in sales and in talking, which then led me into, like you just said, window washing, which allowed me to go through neighborhoods, knock on people's doors, have actual personable conversations.
Have rejection too, and be okay with it.
Yeah, exactly. Taking
on
the rejection. Yeah, like I would probably walk for 3 hours, you know, without getting a single person to say yes to getting their windows cleaned. And then right when I felt like I was about to quit, I'm like, God, you got this. And then sure enough, you know, there was at least somebody that was like, you know what, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, and it's like, it's obviously like, you know, we're not saying just go knock doors and clean windows and stuff. There are many other businesses you can start that are super easy, and not everybody, you know, is you know, tech oriented, so they're not going to do marketing. But there are people who are very like hard workers, and maybe they came from a job that was like, you know, building, manufacturing, doing something like that, and they're willing to, like, you know, go clean somebody's driveway or pressure wash the side of their house or whatever, you know, do landscaping or something like that. And it's just, it really depends on your skill set. So you may be good at something, but you may not really enjoy it. Sometimes that happens too, where it's like your job kind of prepared you for what you can do in your, you know, your business. And I think that's smart to kind of go with something that you're already kind of fluent in, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, you can also keep in mind the fact that, the business isn't what you want to do.
Yeah,
like, it might not at all be what you want to do, but it allows you to do what you do want to do, or what you need to do, right? Yeah. So it's like, I don't like taking out the garbage, I don't like doing this, but it allows me to go on vacation. Yeah. I don't like to build whole houses. It's not my thing, but I know how to do it really well, and it allows me to put food on the table for my family. It allows me. but, I'm not talking about me personally. I'm saying like examples. Like I don't like to do, X, Y, and Z, whatever you name it. You might not like to do it, but it's what puts food on the table. It's what pays your utilities. It's what pays your rent. It's what does, the basic necessities for you. And so that can take you all sorts of.
And it's a good business idea when when it's something that you see a lot of people, like if you yourself would probably be willing to pay for it, then it's a good business idea. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I feel like if you yourself would be willing to pay for something like that, or, it just depends also too on the right target audience. Like if you are targeting people who are like rich, then, you're probably going to be able to do the services for them that are a little bit more extravagant, that may not be like necessities and stuff like that. And then if you're targeting people like the everyday type of people, you're going to look for more consumer type stuff that you could do that anybody has to
more
pay
like
for.
High sales, high amounts of services, but less cost, but good revenue still.
Yeah. So it's like, it just depends on like what you're trying to do. But I would say for anybody that is a beginner to go for the stuff that's going to be very like in demand services that nobody wants to do. Like nobody's willing to get on a roof. Like if you're just an average person, nobody's willing to get on a roof and start cleaning a roof because they don't want to, first of all, get up there, but also they don't want to get injured, So it's like, and some of you may be like, hey, yeah, I'm willing to do that. I don't care. You know what I mean? And you're going to make good money doing that. So it just depends on the situation. Okay, so what do you think some challenges that Christians face when trying to start a business that others may not face, like just typical people?
I kind of brought it up a little bit in the beginning where it's like the fear of other Christians and the inability to do anything. That's one. Feeling inadequate. That's a huge thing that we deal with, especially as Christians, because the enemy's got a target or put a target on our backs, right? Mm-hmm. So we constantly get this lie in our heads that we're inadequate, that we're not doing anything right, that we're going to struggle. So that's one thing. Another thing is hearing other Christians telling you like, hey, it's wrong to profit. It's wrong to X, Y, and Z. Yeah. Even though it's not, like if you're doing it wrong, there's telltale signs. Like if you're swindling people, that is, get out of there. Mm-hmm. But if you're charging, charging marketing value, if you're charging market value, you're doing okay. You're doing great. You're going to be able to get sales. Another fear, another challenge would have to be just making sure you're doing everything ethically. That kind of connects to the last point. Ethics and morals and just lining with your beliefs. Yeah. Because there's a lot of people out there, a lot of courses, a lot of social media influencers, a lot of celebrities that will tell you, do it for you, dude. You do you, boo. That kind of phrase. And it's like, no. Like, trust God. Do what God tells you. Listen to what Scripture says, because you don't want to end up screwing something over. You don't want to screw someone over at all, because you're gonna be responsible for that at the end of the day. Sorry. Yeah. So anyway, long story short, there's just a lot of fears that happen because of being Christian, because there's the attacks of the enemy. There's other Christians that make you feel awful. Sometimes you feel awful just in your own head. And there's other moments where it's like people don't know how to, include Scripture. They don't know how to include God into it. And so they do end up running into messes because they're not diving into the Word and they're not praying. Yeah. So, the remedy for it, if that's another thing that we could talk about, the remedy is prayer. The remedy is allowing God into it. It's worshiping Him in your ventures. It's including God. There was a statistic that showed that, I can't remember what university did this, but people who read their Bible once a week, it's negligible. There's no real sign that it changes their lives. 2 days a week, still negligible, but a little bit, you can still see the difference. 3, you start seeing more difference. At 4 days a week, all the percentages change. So it's like you increase the ability to align Scripture to your life, to openly share your faith, to openly share Scripture, to apply it to everything. So I would definitely say getting into Scripture, praying, and investing in the Lord, investing your time with the Lord is what really carries your business. Okay, so I wanted to ask you, just from your perspective, should Christians worry about making too much money?
No, not at all. I think that's actually...
That's the only answer I need. Sorry.
Not at all. I think, honestly, the more money you have, the more money you have to give. And I think, like, we talked about this before, too, where it's like, you know, money isn't something you should be scared of. You know, it's something where it's like, you should not let it be the ruler over your life, and you should steward it wisely, but you don't have anything to be afraid of with it. It's more so like, let God use you too in certain aspects. Then it's like, if he's blessed you with it, if he's blessed you with the funds, then, you know, great. Like, that's great. You know,
if he's giving you the money, if you have the money, he gave it to you for a reason to be wise with it, right?
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, like a lot of Christians, they get it in their head that, like, it's, you know, I don't know how to, like, manage money. Like, a lot of people don't, like, in general, don't know how to manage money.
I think the Bible has over 2,500 scriptures on finances alone.
Yeah. So it's like they're a little bit afraid to start. One, because they don't know if they're going to, like, lose their money starting, because obviously when you start a business, there are upfront costs and things you have to invest in and stuff like that. So it's like, that it becomes kind of like, then you're like freaked out that you might lose your money. So there's that factor. And then also there's the factor of like, okay, well, if I do make money, then, you know, how am I gonna steward it? I might spend it all, because a lot of people just spend, you know, their money.
We're in a very consumerist, materialistic world, and so naturally our human nature wants to go by the next best thing. We want to get the expensive thing. We want to have that lifestyle, you know. But yeah, like you were saying, like, we need to be able to steward.
Yeah. So it's like, I think that's like a reason why a lot of people, just in general, not even Christians, but they're freaked out, you know, of all the things that they have to lose. But really, it's like, when you start a business, it's like there's so much to gain. Like, you're not going to really lose out on anything. It's like, if anything, in the beginning, you're just going to work harder, and then you'll be like, okay, I got this. Like, you know, I'm able to, like, actually make money not working for someone else, and actually make money working for myself. And it's almost like it becomes like there's no turning back at this point, you know, because it's like, you start to realize the possibilities of like, oh, I started this business, so now I can expand on that, or start another business, or do this. And it's like, it becomes like this, I don't want to say like high, because that sounds kind of weird, but it's like a rush or something like that of like, I can do so much, I can start so much. And it's great, because we need more kingdom-based businesses. But it's like, I think a lot of people get freaked out with just the beginning parts of everything, of like just that first year, when their funds may be a little bit strapped. Like, you, in the beginning, you will not be making what everyone says you're going to be making, like, because they're talking about what they're making currently.
Yeah, and that reminds me of like what we said a while back. It's like, if you do not have the funds to do it, and you want to start a business, don't quit your 9-to-5. Be smart with this. Steward your time, steward your money wisely.
And a lot of people just watch people on the internet, and they're like, dude, I'm making $10K a month, and I'm, you know, I got, like, it's fine, I just quit my job and started this business. And it's like, you can't just do that, because then, like, they're at, you know, chapter whatever, and you're in the beginning, chapter 1. So it's like, you're starting fresh, and it's like, unless you have a savings account that or some money build up, you know, or built up for you to be able to do this business, then don't quit your job. But the beginning part, it's like, you're gonna have to work extra time, especially if you have a 9-to-5, which most people who are starting businesses do, and they're looking for a way to get out of that. But in the beginning, for the first year or so, maybe less, who knows, you're gonna have to just work your 9-to-5 and also work, you know, at your business. And that's like where it's like, it's discipline. because the motivation leaves, you know, and then you're left with, okay, true. I gotta just start to work harder and, you know, work on the weekends, and I may not be making any money from this business, so I'm tired because I'm working so much and there's nothing coming from it. But it's really important to know how to manage your money so that when you're investing in the beginning portions of this, you don't lose so much money and then end up, you know, not, you know, strapped for cash, whatever. Like it's really important to make sure you're on top of that.
So what are some mindset changes that someone has to have in order to become successful in business?
Well, we talked about this before last week, where it was like, you know, not having that comparison mindset too. And also just, you gotta be able to like be okay with being in the trenches for a little bit and not needing to have that instant gratification of like, okay, I'm okay with where I'm at right now, even if I don't know what I'm doing. So you're gonna learn, you're gonna figure it out, you're gonna adapt and find new skills and like be willing to be kind of like a sponge, because honestly, like you're gonna learn so much in the first year of like, okay, like what am I good at, what am I not good at, what works, what doesn't work well, what makes more money, what doesn't make more money, like, you know what I mean? And it's like you're kind of just learning in the beginning, and there's only so much advice that people can give you. It's like kind of like marriage. It's like you're not going to really be completely prepared to start a business or start a marriage until you're in it, and then you're like, okay, I guess I got to figure this out. I guess I got to work this out. Okay, I guess I got to, like, you can prepare as much as you want, but you really just got to, like,
I think what's great,
you got to just start, you know, and that's the thing. So
I think it's great that people run in like full force thinking like, I could take this all on my own. It's like, yeah, have that kind of like, strength to want to run into it. But at the same time, if you know that you're running into a wall, you can ask for help. If you're going to run into a wall business-wise, even faith-wise, look for the resources. Scripture is the biggest one, but you can look online. We have so many resources at our fingertips. We have our phones. We have our computers. We have other people's computers. We have communities that we can reach out to.
Yeah.
We're in a no-excuse world. That's what it comes down to.
Well, also, I want to emphasize, too, just, like, having that, like, that the most important part, like, I know it's a little bit off topic from what you were saying, but the most important part of your business will be your marketing. Like, that will be everything for your business. So it's so important, like, to know how to, if you can't pay someone else to do it, you need to either learn it, so figure it out yourself, because honestly, like, it's gonna make or break your business. If you don't have marketing, you don't have a business, because that is the foundation of everything for, like, being able to bring customers in, clients in, whatever. Like, you need to be able to have a source that's doing that for you.
Yeah, like, jumping in on your point, I just saw something that was talking about this influencer who struggled to sell shirts. So this girl, she had 3 million followers. She had like thousands of likes and millions of views. And she decided to try to start selling some shirts and everything like that. And she failed. She couldn't even like sell more than a couple of them.
Yeah.
Like, people saw her stuff and it was entertaining, but she wasn't giving people any sustenance.
Value.
There wasn't any true value. There wasn't any story behind it. It was just, you know, like a lot of fluff. And people like it because it's cool to watch, like, to pass time, and then they go to their important videos. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if that's the thing that you like to do for a hobby, sure, cool, do that for a hobby. But if you're trying to make this into a business, you need to know what you're doing. You need to market it. You need to start, you know, making sure people know what you're about.
The way of marketing, like, the way of marketing has changed so much, like, in the past few years, like, the way people are doing their marketing for their businesses, because we now have, like, the ability to open our phones and look up anything that we want. So that's an opportunity right then and there for you to get in front of the eyes of your customers and your clients. So it's like, or your clients, but basically you have to be able to know how to, like, properly reach them using common pain points that they are going through. So it's like marketing is all about pain points. Like it's all about, now this is becoming like a discussion about marketing, but I think it's probably the most important aspect of starting a business, because in the beginning your business is relying on only that. You don't have word of mouth right now. You don't have no credibility referrals or anything, credibility, nothing. So if you're not reaching the right people, your business will fail. So it's like
first impressions make or break.
Yeah,
businesses.
First impressions are the most important thing. So I would say if you can master that skill, or you can hire someone to master that for you, then that will propel you into having a successful business.
Right.
I mean, obviously, like that is like something that has changed the game for a lot of people, and it has for decades, you know. Like people are now relying on, they used to rely on, you know, billboards when they would drive by. They used to like newspaper ads, like whatever. Like now it's like
social media
is your billboard. Social media is now directly, and it's perfect because through things like ads or like Facebook ads, SEO, like that will directly reach out to your customer or client for you without you having to like waste time with the people that are not even interested. Like before, I don't think you realize how great this is, because before you'd see like a billboard on the side of the road, but thousands upon millions of people are driving by every day, and only maybe a certain percentage of those people are actually interested in what your billboard has to say. But now you can directly reach out to them and be like, hey, you need this. And they're like, oh yeah, you know what? I do need that. And you know why you know that they need that? Because we have like great targeting. We have specific abilities to be able to find those people on the internet.
It takes out a lot of the guesswork, because like when people had to just, okay, so there's still TV, there's still, you know, cable boxes and cable networks and everything, and those places charge money to be on commercials. But before we had social media advertising and computer advertising, YouTube, whatever, people used to have to just set it and forget it. They're like, here's my commercial. It's going to reach whoever it's going to reach. And if they like it, they like it. Mm-hmm. Now, it's so easy to be able to hone in on that or home in on that specific audience, where it's like, you can say like, I want people who like this subject, who are interested in this, who like this brand, who X, Y, and Z, whatever you want to call it.
So whatever business you're going to start, it doesn't really matter. Obviously, we talked about the things that do matter, like, but it doesn't really matter in the sense of like, you can choose whatever business you want. As long as you know how to market it properly, you will be successful. So that is probably the number one advice I could give to somebody, is like, if you know how to market, you know how to run a business, you know? So, and some people, like some, you know, CEOs, whatever, they don't need to know how to market, because that is not what they have the money to pay for someone who does know how to market.
And well, the other thing too is like, if they're in a business where people need them, like obviously like, it's gonna be a little bit easier.
I mean, there's some, like, we work with, you know, some doctors who don't have the time to market, so it's like they're gonna hire other people to do that. There are certain situations, again, like with everything, where it's like you may just want to pay someone to do it, but if you can learn yourself, that is so vital, because you are able to then directly reach out to your customer yourself and have that ability. But if you have the funds to pay for someone else to do it, then why not? Because then you're able to...
It takes the stress off of you.
It takes the stress off of you, and you can go out and actually like do what you do best.
Or you can find other... go what you do what you do best, like, but it gives you the time to look at the other parts of the business that need to be elevated too.
Yeah, like if some, you know, eventually you will get to the point where you don't need to market yourself. You have enough funds to pay someone else to do it. And then at that point, it is in your best interest to hire someone else, because you are able to make more money by not doing it yourself. So you're able to just chill out and do your job or do whatever you need to do, maybe not work anymore, whatever. Like it's really, but it's person by person, but you have to remember that in the beginning, you need to know how to market. Like you just do. Like,
so to take it back a little bit, I do want to run through some, like, a good amount of the questions to just really answer the things that people are asking. So we can go through some questions about practical steps on how to start a business and, you know, financing and business funding. So let's do that. We'll do some short answers to the questions just so we can run through it. And then we'll just go back into open discussion a little bit more. So first question, what's the very first step someone should take when starting a business?
I'd say the first step that someone should take when starting a business is, well, the number one thing would be starting a website for sure, which you've probably heard that before, but it's true. Like, some people need to know where to go to get your services. So if you don't have a website, then you won't be able to book anything or sell anything. Yeah.
I second that, but I also think that one, like, if we're going to like the nitty gritty, it's like one, like Christian side of it, you know, obviously like pray and ask the Lord. The other part I would say is like have an idea of what you want to start out with before you like start creating the website and everything. Cause
I mean, that's true. It's just like, but if you want to like really like start, like you need to like start a website, like, because some people, like, for instance, for us, it's like we've changed, like, we've had our website, but then we've changed
3 times.
Some of the stuff that we've done, we've changed it on that site multiple times. And we're like, okay, you know, it changes. Like, it just depends. But you can just start with something, you know, like, that will probably be the most important aspect of, like, the physical stuff that you need to do. Obviously, pray. Obviously, that's the most important. But in the sense of like starting your business, creating a website will get you to the place that you want to be, because then you can refer people to that. So it's like with anything, like you can refer your social media, like if you start an Instagram,
person-to-person conversation,
like whatever, like person-to-person conversation, social media, Instagram, like you can tell people, hey, go to my website to book this, you know, or to buy this. So it just depends.
Okay, so next question. How do you start a business if you have no money?
That's hard because
I mean, I would say,
there's so many people.
Chances are if you're trying to start a business with absolutely no money, you got to go with investors. But if you have resources, like you have a computer, you have a phone, you have those, like you already got more than what a lot of people already have. So you could start an online business. You can use the free resources, you know, YouTube University, graduate from that.
I would say if you have like no money, there are like a few methods of getting, you know, your first customers first before actually spending any money. And I think that's probably the most important thing you could do is actually go out and find customers first before you spend any money. Like that's what I think some people have done, like you've done that before, where it's like I've known that some people have gone, like for instance, if they're doing window cleaning, they went and knocked doors to book jobs before they went and bought like a squeegee or something, or like dish soap or whatever,
because they wanted to know that
windows, to know if it's like provable that it's gonna make money. So, and then you can be like, okay, if you can't spend like, you know, $20 or less on a squeegee and dish soap, then it's like, dude, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I think you can. I think you'll make that happen somehow. You know what I mean?
If you want it, you'll make it happen.
Yeah.
And if God called you into it, he'll make sure it happens.
And the funds will be provided.
Exactly.
You know? So, and I don't want to just say like...
He'll guide you. He'll direct you through it so that way you are able to make that happen. Where he's going to have that provision for you.
Yeah.
Next question. Do you think every business needs a business plan, or is that an outdated form of advice? I don't think it's outdated. I mean, it all depends on what your business plan is. Like, it doesn't have to be this grandiose thing, you know,
I think
where
you need to have a plan, but I don't think anything really ever goes to plan, actually.
Because I think when people think of business plans, they think of this whole like corporate scheme or corporate layout where it's like, I need to hire this person and this person and this person, and I need to have this department and this one. But for the most part, if you're just starting out by yourself, you're not going to have that. So what you want to do is you want to have an idea of what you're doing in the beginning. You want to build you want to build the skills. You want to develop the skills, and then you move on from there. So as you're going, you could figure it out. And as you're progressing financially, as you're progressing with customers, clients, sales, that's how you can scale, right? Because if you're, say, like you're doing everything online, and then you're like, okay, but I really want to have a big shop inside all the malls. I want to have, this, that, and the other. I want to be in the big areas. But you don't have the money to pay for the rent of it. Start online. That's pretty much, it's not entirely free to start online, but it's cheaper. You got to start somewhere. Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, having a business plan is important, but, it's sometimes you will rarely, most of the time you will rarely ever completely follow that, completely. But it's important to kind of have, an outline of, what needs to be done, almost like a to-do list or something. I wouldn't say a business plan, but more so, to-do list for stuff. Yeah.
I think it's great to set goals. That's what your business plan should be, is a set of goals, and you can kind of fill in the blanks as you go. There's certain major key points that you have to hit, and there's certain ones where it's like, okay, if I get there, I get there. But let's go to the next one. What legal steps should someone take to start a business? So LLC, permits, and everything. Because I personally think it all depends. Online, I say you could do sole proprietorship, which means that you're just running it based off your social security number, because there's limited liability already. And then you can start out, and once you get bigger, you can go to the LLC or the S Corp or C Corp. But if you're doing manual labor, anything that involves someone's property, you definitely need something, because sorry for continuing, but it's an LLC is the minimum you should have if you were to go start out, say you're going to do anything laborious with someone's property, like car detailing, maybe some window washing, roof cleaning. One, to protect yourself, and two, to protect the property. So how it protects you is that, and this doesn't mean that you are going to mess up. I mean, you are going to mess up in some ways along the lines in business or whatever. That's just inevitable. But when it comes down to it, say there's a disgruntled customer, right? They said that you broke their $15,000 flower pot when you were out in the back washing their windows. And they're like, I'm going to sue you for this much, and you don't have the LLC. Guess what? That $15,000 that they're suing you for has to come out of pocket. And if you don't have it, you're going to have to continue to pay for it. But if you had the LLC and it broke, say you didn't have business insurance, right? If it was the LLC, the only thing that happens is that they take your business. They could bankrupt the business, but guess what? Your personal assets are fine. You don't have to worry about it. The business is gone. You could start a new one. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's better for you to be protected than it is for you to,
Yeah. Yeah, but that's in the sense of people who are definitely dealing with
anything
liability.
With someone else's property.
Yeah, if you're just starting something where I think it's really important to see provability before you start jumping on, doing an LLC and all of that, because you're going to have to pay those fees up front, which I don't know where you're at, but here in California, it's $800 for us to do that.
I would say if you're going to start in a labor job that deals with someone else's property, start with people that you know.
Well, definitely, if you're doing something like that, you just got to do it. You have to. But if you
can't, you can. What I would recommend is go with the people that are comfortable with it. You can do it with friends, and they'll pay you here and there. They know that you're starting out, so it'll probably be a little cheaper, but you'll start building that amount, and then you could invest in the LLC.
Yeah, but it's if you are just doing something okay, you're selling some clothes online or something or whatever, I would make sure that that's provable and that it's profitable before you start registering, doing LLCs, everything, because honestly,
if it's your own designs, no one can really do anything to you about it.
Yeah, but it's you want to just make sure that you're not going to switch up your idea, because I know for us in the beginning, we were oh, let's do this, and then we tried it and we did it for a little bit. We're you know what, let's kind of pivot here a little bit, let's try this. And it's unless you want to you should get probably an overarching LLC if you know for sure, hey, I'm starting this
do like
business.
A management company and do business as whatever.
And then whatever businesses you do under that, they can be
you could
different.
Do like 3 different DBAs doing business as.
And, you can be different underneath that LLC or what was the
S Corp?
S Corp.
Yeah. So if you start getting bigger and you hit a certain mark where you want to start paying yourself, because dude, LLC taxes, like self-employment taxes, are nuts. But with an S Corp, it allows you to remove a lot of it gives you some tax breaks. There's ways that you can structure things so that way you don't have to do so much payroll tax and everything like that. That's a whole other topic. But an S Corp is more like if you have employees, if you're trying to pay yourself, if you have other expenses, it helps you in the long run with taxes, and it helps you in the long run with credibility with your business and everything like that, investments and everything. If you wanted people to invest in your business, so that's another thing. So an S Corp could be I would say is a step up from LLC. So you can go sole proprietorship, LLC, S Corp, and then eventually, if you really want to do the whole big world, you could do C Corp or whatever.
C Corp, yeah. So, I mean, I would really look into that more so. But if you are just starting out, I would just make sure what you're doing is what you want to stick with, unless you want to just get an overarching management type thing.
So stepping away from that part, because that part's like a big topic that probably deserves its own, video or something. How important is branding in the early stages of business? Like you were just talking about marketing, I would say it's super important.
I think your branding is probably what's going to set you, it's definitely what's going to set you apart from every other business that it's competing with you. So
because it's not always your product that sells, it's your branding that sells.
If you don't have good branding, then you don't have a business, again, because it's not gonna, unless there's specific businesses where that works, where you don't need good branding, and I'll tell you which ones they are. It's like the businesses that are like the home service type businesses, like they just need to be or a doctor's office or whatever. Like you just need to go in and they're almost like necessities, which is why I love stuff like that so much, because it doesn't really matter what you do. People just need it done. You don't really need to sell them on it too much. Like you don't really need to sell somebody on whether or not they need to go get some necessity for people.
Food.
Yeah, you don't need to sell somebody on if you own a grocery store or whatever, which I don't think a lot of people who are watching this would own a grocery store. But if it's something like that, it's people need
restaurants.
No, that's not a good example.
No, I mean you still
restaurants. No, you need to have good marketing if you're a restaurant. If you are a grocery store, like Ralph's, the most basic logo ever, like Vaughn's, the most basic logo ever, you don't need to sell people on the fact that they need to it needs to look good or whatever. It's they just need groceries. They're gonna come in regardless if you have good marketing or not. But there's other businesses where it's
they've also been around for a long time too.
That's true, but it's still, you look at Starbucks, that's been around for a while too, but they're constantly updating their logo and their branding and everything. So it's it really just depends on what you are doing. But in most business models, you will need to have good branding, because it's going to determine whether or not someone wants to come in and spend money with you, because they're looking at a bunch of other brands, and you need to stand out.
So quick example, just piggybacking on what you're saying, is that you and this other person can have exactly the same product, right? Let's call it a Stanley cup versus your cup, like a generic cup, right? The branding is what sets it up. They might come from the same exact manufacturer. They might have the exact same paint. They could be made from the same material. But Stanley over here decided that they were going to push the marketing, and they became credible. But you were over here not doing anything, and that's why it's what sets
apart the brands that are the big brands, like you said, Stanley, and then there's Thermo Flask or something.
Dude, Oreo was not the original sandwich cookie. Just think of that. They weren't the original chocolate with a cream filling. They were actually the generic. They were the knockoff.
Yeah.
And they had such good marketing and they've got such good branding that they became the top dog.
Yeah.
You know?
So it just really, it really, your branding will make or break your business in almost every business model. So in the beginning, I wouldn't tell a whole lot of people about your business.
No. Yeah.
I wouldn't because honestly, if you tell a bunch of people, they will start to...
They could slow you down by being a hater, and then you could
slow
focus
you
on
down,
that.
hate on you, whatever. There are specific people that you should tell, like trusted church family, friends, whatever, like leadership,
pastors.
Pastors and stuff like that. But don't tell a bunch of other people. Don't like announce it like on your personal Instagram unless that's what you're trying to do. Like if you're trying to be I don't know, if you're trying to be like an influencer or like do something like that, then it's like
it'll save you a lot of the hurt from haters. It'll save you a lot of the hurt from like just from a lot of different things, like for people who want to stop you, from people who are
like a lot of people give the advice, let all your like people, like your friends and everybody know, but honestly I don't think that's good advice because there's a lot of people that will not understand and be like, okay, well, they don't agree with your business or whatever. They don't want to see you succeed. They're jealous, whatever. So it's like you kind of got to block that out and be like, nope, I'm going full into this and doing this.
I'm also looking at it in a biblical perspective on like it reflects like, like with prayer and fasting. It's like the Pharisees were the ones that went out and gloated, look at me praying, oh God, like shouting from the rooftops, like, oh God, look at me pray, and there's a lot of people that are like kind of like that. But that also stems into business. It's like you don't need to be loud for everybody to see you. Sometimes you have to do things in secret, right? You have to be in the secret place. You have to pray only with God. You fast and you don't tell anybody about your fast because that's between you and God. So and so sometimes like that'll stem into like your business. It's like there are certain individuals that are licensed to know, like your pastor. You should inform your pastor about what you're doing, or like generally what you're doing, so they can pray over you, so that way that people can pray with you, intercede on your behalf.
It just depends. You don't want to,
but you don't want to tell it like your
it just depends. You don't want to just go and like tell everybody because like people will like judge you, and that's like, I'm not saying be so afraid of being judged or whatever, but you just, especially when you're new to this, like it's so easy to get discouraged, and you need people around you, good people who are going to lift you up and be like, no, you got this, like don't give up, like it's okay, like even if you don't figure it out right now, you're going to be okay. Like that's the thing. So it's like, just be mindful, be careful of that.
Next question. What's a Bible verse or faith principle that has helped you the most in business? So for me, I would say Matthew 6:33. Seek first his... go ahead.
No, you go first.
I would say a Bible verse would be Matthew 6:33. Seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all will be added unto you.
Yeah, I would say Hebrews 11, the whole chapter is just about acts of faith, and I think that's kind of gotten me through like my entire like life, I don't want to say my entire life, but just gotten me through
the tough
times of everything that I've dealt with and stuff, and I've been able to kind of be like, okay, it's faith. It's not really about trusting in my own understanding. It's about his understanding and me having the faith that it's going to work out. So
So next question, where can people connect with us and learn more? Now that one, there's so many, oh my goodness, like there's so many different ways. So it's social media. You could DM us, we have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. However
he always wants to DM people, so
dude, I love talking to people. I love sharing the gospel.
Him if you're actually at this point and watching the video. DM him.
Yeah, because I love sharing the gospel. I love sharing scripture. I
love
connecting with people. I love supporting people and helping people thrive, and getting their business up and running.
And their testimonies too.
Dude, I love hearing people's testimonies.
He's writing a few people's well, you're writing their testimonies?
Yeah, I'm doing
articles on the testimonies.
I'm going to be doing a couple articles. Like we already did one. His name was Nestor D'Angelo Sanchez. He runs a crypto financing or financial advisory and course.
Yeah.
Dude, that guy is awesome. Like there's not a lot of people that know how to do it, and he can teach you some really good stuff, and he's got a great story. So if you have the time to check out that one.
Yeah. There's a few others too that we are still in the process of doing. So it's good. But if you have like a testimony that you want to share or have written, let us know, because we'd love to like add it to our blog or weekly. No, actually we do more than weekly. It's like maybe 5 blogs a week or something.
There's a lot going on there, and they're all literally, there's so many resources, not just like testimonies, but
anything marketing related or just business related, just business wise, anything, just go to our articles section of our website, because we are constantly putting new uploads on there,
and we set it up so that way you don't have to question whether or not it's scripturally sound, or theologically sound, because we went through that struggle and we had to seek advice, seek counsel, and just do a lot of the diving ourselves. So a lot of this stuff, I would say, still study the verses that are connected to everything and still like look into things, but you don't have anything to worry about when you develop the skills from the free resources. And I mean, like, there's a ton of free resources. There's finances, how to pray over your business, using the Lord's Prayer as a way to figure out how to pray over your business. There's email marketing and SMS, SEO, Facebook ads, Google, whatever you want. Like, there's a lot of resources out there that will help you get by. Yeah. And not just get by, but actually thrive in your business.
Yeah, and also if you want to, like, if you want anything, just any prayer or whatever, just DM us for that as well.
Yeah, dude.
So,
yeah,
we're just open, so we're just kind of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just here for community, honestly. So if you guys want to chat.
We created Nicola Collective, not just the podcast, but the business as itself, to be a hub for Christian entrepreneurs to grow in faith and in their business and to just completely thrive. So there's the resources, there's the cool apparel, like this jacket, like this shirt, like what she's wearing.
Yeah.
All those things, like we did that so that way like people can feel comfortable in their calling. Mm-hmm. And that people can learn, like we want people to thrive. We want the kingdom to excel and grow, so that way we can reach everyone.
Yeah, and also if you're like needing marketing help as well, we have a course that's coming out. We've had some experience with like the course world, I guess you could say, before, but we created this new course that should be coming out pretty soon, or
it's already out. We just haven't really marketed to it.
If you need help with marketing, we can send you a link to that as well too. So that's going to be good for Facebook ads, SEO, and just Christian biblical backing and principles backing on that.
If you get the course, you're going to learn about the thing that we kind of came up with, eternal ROI, and dude, that is just that's kind of what's on my heart is eternal ROI and eternal return on investment.
Yeah.
So I would definitely take a look into that, and you'll learn a lot.
Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you again next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.